Well, you'd want to track the conversion events because it will help your optimization better, right? So it will help Facebook learn, okay, this is a purchase, this is what an add to cart looks like, etc. So it helps that learning process for your advertisements faster because it helps understand this is what a person that does this on my site or on my store looks like. So that's a big one. Mostly it's centered on conversions and purchases right now is where you'd see it. And in the places that we've installed this, we've seen a 25 to 30% increase in conversion reporting.
You're listening to the eCommerce Influence Podcast with Austin Brawner and Andrew Foxwell. If you want honest, transparent, and tangible results that deliver lasting value and revenue, this is your podcast.
With SMS quickly becoming the most important marketing channel of the decade, many e-commerce brands are excited to get their piece of the pie. But with so many SMS tools popping up, it's hard to know which tool is the best fit for your growing brand. PostScript is the leading SMS marketing platform, laser focused on one thing: building the best SMS platform for e-commerce brands on Shopify. Using PostScript, your team can grow a TCPA compliant subscriber list, use your Shopify data to create targeted text messages, campaigns, and automations, have two-way conversations with customers, and unlock a brand new marketing channel that drives big-time ROI for your store. PostScript is trusted by thousands of growing Shopify and Shopify Plus stores to manage their SMS marketing. Stop treating SMS like email and instead respect the inbox, create hyper-segmented campaigns using your data, and make your customers happy. Start your free 30-day trial of PostScript today at ecommerceinfluence.com/PostScript. That's ecommerceinfluence.com/POSTSCRIPT. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the e-commerce influence podcast. My name is Austin Brawner.
And I'm Andrew Foxwell. And I'm telling you, today's topic, hot topic, like the popular 90s mall store, although less goth and more API related.
Although it could, yeah, I think this is we're going deep nerd here today.
Oh man, yeah, and we had to put out an episode on the conversion API from Shopify, and it is deep nerd, but it's important, and I think you all need to know about it. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Shopify's Facebook conversion API.
And I'll be honest. Before Andrew brought this topic up, I hadn't heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. So this conversation is going to be an exercise for me as well to learn more about it. So let's dive in, Andrew. What is the conversion API?
Sure.
And why are we talking about it?
Okay, so there is an issue coming and is already sort of here with pixel tracking and cookie-based tracking that Facebook and other really, platforms have become dependent upon for showing you results. So Apple has come out and said in iOS 14, their new operating system, we're going to be much harder on privacy, and we're going to eliminate cookies after 7 days. And there's just been a lot of this, what we'll just call it a cacophony of information as it relates to converting around pixels and tracking around pixels. And
Sure.
A lot of these are browser-based pixels, i.e. they are tracking based on what you're doing on your browser. So Facebook needed to come out with an answer to this and needed to come out with another way to track conversions that wasn't centered as much on just the pixel. And so the conversion API is an answer to that tracks alongside of the pixel and ties into your server. So that sounds really confusing and complicated, but I promise that it's not that bad.
Well, back to the bigger picture here. Mm-hmm. There's increasing pressure to provide more privacy to consumers, right? And it's happening at many different levels. The most recent documentary, The Social Dilemma, is creating even more awareness of the amount of information that companies like Facebook and Google have about you. Right. And it's making it less palatable to give this information away.
Right.
So just the macro trend, like that's where we're going, and it's going to be more challenging. And this seems like a little bit of a response to that.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. So it's a response to that. And technically what this is something that you are able to, most of you, I'm going to guess, listening to this are on Shopify. And I'm going to speak about this Shopify implementation today. However, if you're on WooCommerce or BigCommerce, there are plugins to set this up that are similar to Shopify, but I'm most familiar with Shopify's solution working with Facebook to this because I've been working with Facebook directly on this, the POC, person of contact at Facebook for this product, who's working directly with Shopify. So this conversion API was a technical implementation that is now actually just something that's more of something you're able to install on your store right away. Yeah, so that makes it easy. So we'll have documentation about this and links that you can click on if you go to eCommerceinfluence.com and in the show notes and things. Basically, what this allows you to do is, at a super high level, is it finds more conversions that are not necessarily centered all on the pixel on your site. So that's a why you'd want to do this. That's a why you'd want to install this.
And just to clarify, like why would a pixel not track?
Sure. Could be a pixel blocker that somebody would have. It could be that the pixel fired improperly. That's common. In doing all these audits we do at Foxwell Digital, one of the things we see is pixels placed improperly or tracking incorrectly. So that's a common thing, and this helps to mitigate some of that.
Okay. And then also what you're talking about with Apple and rolling out a new operating system that would block pixel tracking.
Right. But basically, you don't have to right away do this. This isn't something that's necessary right out of the gates, but it will become necessary. So my goal with doing this episode with you, Austin, is to get people familiar with this.
Sure. Makes sense. So we talked a little bit about what it's doing. So it sounds like it's allowing you to capture that conversion event in a situation where the pixel would be blocked. Why does it matter? Why do we need to capture all these different conversion events?
Well, you'd want to track the conversion events because it will help your optimization better, right? So it will help Facebook learn, okay, this is a purchase, this is what an add to cart looks like, etc. And so it helps that learning process for your advertisements faster because it helps understand this is what a person that does this on my site or on my store looks like. So that's a big one. And, mostly it's centered on conversions and purchases right now is where you'd see it. And in the places that we've installed this, we've seen a 25 to 30% increase in conversion reporting.
Wow. That's a really solid amount, actually.
Yeah,
more than I expected.
Right. Me too. And the interesting thing here is, it should be said, right now, as it stands, when we record this episode, are there some bugs and errors as it relates to this product right now? Yes, it's brand new. And even, like I said, literally, I have information about this that I'm giving to you that isn't even on their site yet. So this stuff's coming out, but
breaking news right here on eCommerce Influence.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, this is new stuff. So tread carefully into it. But we have seen that it does increase the conversions. This is akin, and this is like post-purchase surveys, right? On post-purchase surveys, you always see, man, my numbers from Facebook look better than my Facebook numbers. You know what I'm saying? You look at it and be like, that's interesting. More people are saying they're seeing it. And this is some of those people. This is some of those that they're just not tracking for whatever reason.
I want to clarify something, Andrew, that you said that was, potentially shocking to many people here, which was you said that Facebook rolled out something that potentially is a little bit buggy.
Sure. Yeah. I know.
Right now.
Shocking.
It's quite shocking.
Yeah, it's big. They always go through just a huge Q&A process. What's insane to me about, just as an aside, to me about Facebook as a company and as a person that's deep in Ads Manager is that there's a community of us around the world. Let's say there's probably 150 of us maybe that are deep in these products that discover problems before the people that invented them. Like they didn't even know this was an issue, so it's just, I'm like, you're $1 billion, $1 trillion company, whatever they are. Like, how do you not know this? How have you not tested this? Like me sitting in my laptop in my living room, I'm like, this is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like it's shocking. Yes. But anyway, yeah. But in the places that it is working, it is increasing conversions by 25 to 30% in reporting, which is insane to us. And there's some that it's not as shocking. It's not as great, but more often than not, you'll see more. And it's because they're tracking them from the server, not just from the browser.
Kind of just to get some context, right? Mm-hmm. So if you see a 25 to 30% increase in conversion reporting, what can that help you do in the rest of your advertising? Well,
I mean, it optimizes things faster. So it allows you to scale faster. It allows you to get a better read on what's working faster. And it allows you to do more rapid testing if you know that the conversions are going to be more accurate. An example of this would be like if somebody checked out in another way and the pixel didn't fire properly when they hit submit or something, this would capture that because it would go back and look at your server, i.e. it would look at your customer data of that purchase happening and it would say, oh, this person came from Facebook. And it's able to tie those two things together. So it looks at things like phone number, first and last name, and email address as well. So let's say somebody is on their Facebook account and then they go on to they see an ad and they go on their wife's account, partner's account, and they use the phone number that matches back to the original one that saw the ad. That'll be attributed, whereas it wouldn't have been previously because it was based on a browser.
Interesting.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So there's stuff like that it's tying together that we didn't have before. And the other thing that's nice about this is that it gets you in compliance with CCPA, the California one, and it gets you into compliance with a lot of the kind of the coming tracking regulations that you need to be a part of. So it plays a role in that because it's not pixel based. It's a different thing.
So talking about that a little bit more. So as some of these regulations roll out around pixel tracking, and is this just a way to kind of subvert those laws and do the same thing and do it actually better than they're currently doing it?
I mean, yes, sort of. I mean, I don't know if it subverts that. Yes, to some degree it subverts it takes away the pixel. But it just ties, in my opinion, more accurate data to your ads. And also, it doesn't have that tracking sitting on the pixel in the long term. And short term, pixel tracking is in some cases is totally fine, especially if you're in compliance with CCPA, it's okay. But over time, it's going to become more difficult. So I think it's important to point out that for now, it's okay, but this does help get you in the direction of compliance. And I think being better with customer data too.
When you say better with customer data, what does that mean?
It transfers it. Person goes and checks out on your store and it stays in your store. And then Facebook looks at it on the back end in your store versus looking at the purchase happening on a pixel firing from a browser, which would be, unique identifiable information back to your particular device and browsing or browser and where you are and things like that. So it lives in a pixel versus this just lives in kind of the back end of your store.
Interesting. Where do you feel like we're going around tracking and customer information? Do you see a massive reckoning coming where we're no longer going to be able to track conversions? Do you feel like what's coming down the pipe in your mind?
I mean, I think it's going to be companies are going to get creative of how they're going to track. And I think that you will continue to see challenges around conversion tracking and around pixel-based tracking. So I think you need to be prepared with things like the Shopify conversion API, with things like post-purchase surveying and attribution to make sure that you are, still have a good read on like what's working and what's not. I think it is important as well to probably, if you're a big enough store, get familiar with, a lawyer who can read through some of these things, they read through, for example, the CCPA, the California Consumer Protection law. We tried to give as much as we could advice on that by saying, hey, we're not lawyers, but we consulted lawyers to give a lot of those answers of what do people need to do and how is this interpreted. And that kind of thing, I think as time goes on, will be smart. That if you're planning on scaling, if you're planning on spending more and you're planning on e-commerce as a big part of your channel, you need to have somebody there that can help navigate those waters for you, because there's so much information that's completely, irrelevant and scary and makes it's like not true as well. So
I also recommend, if you haven't gone out there and watched The Social Dilemma, go watch it, because I had a high level of resistance to watching it, because I was like, why do I need to watch this about social media? Like, I already know a lot about social media and social media marketing and social media advertising and all these different things. Why do I need to watch it? The reason why I found it fascinating is because it is, I believe, is the first large scale documentary that is like connected with the public in a way to explain some of the things that you as an advertiser or a marketer or a business owner already intuitively know. But the way that they explain it frames it in a way that the average person can understand and can be outraged about.
Mm-hmm.
The power of that, combined with like shifting tides, I think will move the needle towards the side of more privacy. And I think that's a good thing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you can adjust to that, like with what Andrew's talking about, post-purchase surveys now, the easier the transition is going to be for you. And so if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because it'll give you a better perspective around where we're going. And again, shifts happen quickly when public sentiment turns.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. You want to be prepared. And I think, from just like walking through, like from a technical standpoint, if you have a store and you want to install this, we have walkthroughs that the team and I have put together on our blog, foxwelldigital.com/blog, that will link in here as well, that are how to do this. Basically, it installs on the store, and then there's some steps you have to take to install the shopping app on Facebook. And then eventually over time, you actually do eliminate the pixel. You remove that from your store, not right away, but you eventually do remove that as part of this process, which is interesting. So if you still have it there, it does automatically dedupe those events, so you don't need to worry about that. But that's kind of the steps, is that it's not super hard to install. And it also, the thing I've noticed with coaching some people through this is it gets them familiar with parts of their business manager on Facebook that they haven't ever played a part in. So that's good too. An example of this is there's something called an event manager that shows the events off of the Pixel and off of this conversion API that allows you to see, okay, this event happened, this event, or like an event would be like a purchase or an add to cart or something like that. And that gets you deeper. And that's a good thing too, right? For understanding and asking deeper questions.
In the matrix.
Yeah, right. Deeper in the matrix. But I think this is a quick episode. We're not going to get super technical in it, but
we're too late, Andrew. We've gotten.
I could get this. There's stuff about this that is like, that is like so insane. This is one of those like deep dives like I did with CCPA. I've like tried to understand and obsess about everything about understanding the conversion API. And I think what's clear is that it does help. It helps increase conversions. It's not something that I think you have to do in Q4. I think it could be a Q1 project, but I do think that it's something you're going to want to be familiar with in the early part of next year for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for hopping on and sharing your deep dive with everybody. I'd love to hear from you guys on Twitter. If you guys have questions or have installed this, hit us up on Twitter and let us know what your thoughts are. So thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you on the next episode.
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, it's Austin, and if you've been loving the podcast, you got to go check out brandgrowthexperts.com. That's where I work one-on-one with my clients to help them build faster growing, more profitable online stores. I've got coaching programs and workshops that we host all over the world. Would love to have you come check it out. If you're a fast-growing e-commerce business or you want to be a fast-growing e-commerce business, you got to check it out. That's the spot for you. We go more in depth than we do in the podcast with comprehensive trainings and coaching to help you scale up. Check it out, brandgrowthexperts.com. See you there.